Hi peeps, welcome to my latest video. I'm going to be talking about what I think of Games Workshop's latest F&Q. At the beginning of this video, I'm wanting to basically just look at the big F&Q, the summary and beta rules that's recently been released by Games Workshop. Primarily looking to starting with Psychic Focus. Now, we got wind of this rule, especially in my club, not long back, and we've actually been sort of testing it out ourselves, especially after a particular game against a friend of mine that I only had one psych and he had about 5, and it really sort of unbalanced a lot of the game because I had no real way of stopping this smite spam from affecting my units. Now, sometimes with mortal wounds, the only real way of saving them is with things like Disgusting Resilient or Fortune, or just something that ignores you losing a wound on a dice roll, normally primarily like a 5 or a 6. So yeah, I do really welcome the fact that Smite, if you are using it multiple times, is going to get a bit of a nerfing. Even of course stating that if you fail it, you would still have a -1 to your dice rolls for any future ones. So you're going to have to look as well to see which one you're going to really want to cast off before trying to use it with other people. Don't get me wrong, stuff like Brotherhood of Psychers and Destructor from the Eldar, that's still going to be unaffected because that's only one. It's only one mortal wound rather than it being D3 or even D6 in the case of you rolling an 11 plus, which is quite welcoming. I'm also a really a mixed bag regarding the targeting characters section that they've updated. I agree that, yeah, if you've got multiple characters all within sort of similar ranges and they're the ones that are closest, that you should be able to pick which character to take down. You are going to in game terms, you're going to primarily focus on what you consider to be the worst out of the bad bunch before actually get into your lines, before it can affect you. I'm still disagreeing with the simple fact you can't target characters if you've got another unit that's near you but you can't see them. For me, it should be the nearest visible enemy unit. So if someone's got a lovely unit of guards, an example, hidden in a building 6 inches away from your Devastator squad, and a commissar's 8 inches away, but you can't see the guard squad, you should, for me, be able to target the commissar because he is the nearest visible enemy unit. On the second page, we actually find some new beta match play rules, which I welcome some changes to match play simply because it gives you a bigger gap distance between how narrative works, apart from just using same stratagems or same psychic powers over and over again. The tactical reserves rule is I quite like it. I like the fact that you have to have, it's like half of the units can only be in reserve and half of the power rating, which stops, again, it's one of those rules to stop people spamming certain units, taking really sort of like lots and lots of low points cost units just so you can fill your reserves with really powerful units that can pretty much set up 9 inches away from the front line of your opponent. And I'm getting a lot of charges off, especially when you're using certain stratagems. Blood Angels have got one where you can, charge 3d6 when you actually turn up from Deep Strike. Now, don't get me wrong, there's certain exceptions. Genestealer Cult's one of them, and certain things that are set up at the beginning of the battle round, for pretty much before the game starts, before you enter any particular turns. It still doesn't stop you from doing it. It just restricts you as well that if you're going to Deep Strike on your first turn, then on your first turn of the game you can only Deep Strike into your deployment zone. You cannot Deep Strike further out unless it's turn 2 or turn 3. This kind of harks back a little bit, I think, to more of the earlier editions of the game where a lot of your reserves didn't turn up until turn 2 or turn 3. Granted, we're wanting to play a quicker, faster paced game, and I quite welcome the addition to this particular rule where deep striking units just come down, you haven't got to roll for them. It's refreshing, it's easier to play, it's easier for your opponent to play because you're not risking it all the time. Don't get me wrong, I didn't mind deep striking a unit of Terminators about 3 or 4 inches away from somebody's really important tank to scare the crap out of them, which you can't do now, which is a shame, but I suppose you could always make your own rules up for narrative play regarding that. Also the Battle Brothers rule. Now the Battle Brothers, I'll get my teeth in. Battle Brothers rule is basically to match play to stop people from taking all the best stuff from multiple different armies and putting them into one detachment. And now it is detachment. Some of my friends actually thought it was army, which I got a bit grumpy about, especially when it comes to things like the Inquisition, Assassins, which have got their own rules. They actually have their own ways of adding into your army. But the Battle Brothers rule basically just means that the keywords can't just be one keyword. It can't just be, oh, I'm Imperium, so therefore all my Imperium stuff can come into this particular detachment. It has to match in other ways. So it's going to stop a lot of people taking a detachment of Space Marine elites backed up by lots of Imperial Guard troops and taking a battalion. That I've seen that before, and to be honest with you, this particular rule will stop that from happening. Even when it comes to brigade, I've seen people mixing units up so that they can actually get hold of a brigade detachment to get all them lovely command points, even at a sacrifice of special rules that actually comes with those particular armies. The last thing I'm wanting to talk about regarding this errata F&Q is the changes to the command benefits. Now, of course, speaking earlier, as I said, the people trying to get the battalion and brigade detachment, they've actually gone up in command points. Battalion's gone up to 5, brigade has gone up to 12. I think this is to offset people from just taking a hell of a lot of tanks and commanders, just to basically get the same result as a battalion detachment. Now, if you start mixing that in with the new organised events rules regarding detachments and number of times a datasheet can be used, because they've changed that now. At one point you could take pretty much whatever units you wanted to, as many times as you actually wanted to, as long as you got detachments to be able to do it. Now they've actually changed it to, for example, in 1,000 points you can have 2. This doesn't include troops, so troop choices, tactical marines, scout squads, guard squads, guardian units, dire avengers, Hormagaunts, Tyranid warriors, they're all still going to be pretty much unlimited because they're your troops choices. Same goes with the dedicated transports that go with them. So your dedicated transports are not actually included within that limitation. But it will stop people from taking like 5 or 6 Carnifexes in a 1,000 point game. I even come across somebody running about 5 captains in 1,000 points. So that's going to limit what people can do in match play games. Again, like it gives you a difference between the narrative style play and the match play style. So the match play style is going to be a bit more tournamenty, and it's going to be a bit more balanced. It's also going to stop people from fielding about 6 squads of Dark Reapers against you, just so you can get that Dark Reaper spam going on. The rest of the sort of erratas I'll be talking about in focus on their main pages when I do a recording regarding sort of like the Craft World F&Q and the Astra Militarum F&Q. I'll be focusing more upon those particular armies and talking about any particular erratas to those armies. There's a lot of points changes as well. I've noticed that a lot of Elder points have gone up, which surprised me because I tend to find Elder die quite easily. But so yeah, some of them, the unit points have changed and adjusted pretty much to compensate for what's actually happening with the game at the moment. This will all be nice before the release of Chapter Approved 2018. Well, thanks for listening. If you have done, give us a like, share, subscribe if you enjoy listening to me ramble on in my lovely Yorkshire accent. And I'll be getting some more gameplay videos uploaded soon. Just need to get some more opponents in, and we'll be able to get those sorted into different areas. And we'll see you peeps again soon.